Hi, it's Scott Hamilton, Rockfile. I am on my second ever Zoom interview with Ron from Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. Hello, fellow Floridian. How are things?
Doing good, thank you. I'm honored to be the second guest. You know, they say Talladega Nights, if you ain't first, you're last, but that's not true. There's second, third, fourth, fifth, you know.
Exactly correct. Now, where are you zooming us from?
I'm zooming you a lot right here from San Bernardino, California.
Right on.
Three of my members still live in Florida and have the whole time. Three of the band members, so the bulk of the band. The other two guys, which is me, Ronnie, and our drummer slash mixer, John Espy. He lives in Los Angeles, and I live in San Bernardino.
Okay. Long way from where you started in Florida almost. Well, you were in school in 2001 when this all started, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we technically, you know, wow, you really know your stuff. Really,
well, first, 2003
the
was the official formation, but you guys were, yeah.
Right, 2001, I was a senior, and we had music theory class, me and a guy named Duke, who was one of the original guitar players.
Right.
And, you know, he had a bunch of other bands, and I had a bunch of other bands. So, like, we never really, that's why it wasn't official. But him and I were really good friends, and we would play each other's songs from our bands. He had a band called Fig Leaf Alibi, and I had a band called Dishonest. And they weren't really similar at all. And just over years of us always showing each other riffs, and we started to kind of like work on something that wasn't for Fig Leaf or for Dishonest, which eventually that officially became the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. But yeah, it was just, you know, it's this bunch of friends who knew studying music theory.
Right.
You know, most of those guys, the original members, left before we even played our first show because we were just friends. There was no rules. Like, you didn't have to, there was no dictatorship, you know.
Right.
We were just dudes who jammed in a band. So we're just a rare band who's a, you know, original lineup, never even played a show. So since then, all the way till today, it's just been me bringing my friends along for a couple years at a time.
Right on. And look where we are now, 17 years later.
Here we are, 17 years later, in quarantine. Well, I'm still in quarantine. I'm
right.
still being safe. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still being safe.
I'm still being pretty safe. I mean, I've got to go out there for food and a few other things. But yeah, I'm tending to stay away from people for a little bit longer, I think, until it's safe.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm glad to hear that, honestly. But yeah, we'll get our food and what we need. But all the recreational activities have been done at our home. And the cool thing is we've been kicking butt on like fixing our house up. You know, we've redone the kitchen. Redid the backyard. Like a lot of things that when you're touring all the time, when you're flying out to shows. I mean, I flew so much last year. They upgraded me to executive platinum on American Airlines, and
wow,
that's weird to me. Like I'm economy only. You know what I mean? To the death. Any punk rock band will tell you get used to flying economy. But now
right.
I'm getting upgraded to first class because I flew so much. And now fast forward 2020, I haven't been on a single plane flight since February, and it's been nice to just reconnect with the family. And that part of it's been nice. You know, there's a lot of negatives, but that part's been nice. I have to express gratitude for that.
I got to say, there is a silver lining to this whole experience that, you know, we're reconnecting with the simpler things, being at home, family, neighbors, you know, that kind of thing. And it's good, I think. That part of it, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, my experience is that it's been good, you know, obviously, but we've just been really staying home the whole time, other than when we absolutely needed groceries.
Right.
So, you know, everybody's got their own fight to fight, you know, and what they believe. But all I got to say is I'm not sick.
Same here. Right on. Well, we've been playing the new song, Brace Yourself, since April. Congratulations, man. I think this is an evolution in your sound, shall we say. But let's talk about the synergy. You wrote this long before current events, and it's a pretty topical song.
Thank you. And especially if you watch the lyric video, because obviously we made that after the virus was already, you know, infecting the planet.
Right.
But when we were sitting there listening, you know, we had all these songs recorded last year, I think December. Our drummer, John, I produced the EP and our drummer, John, mixed it. So that's the first big production change. We've been using one guy to mix our records for a really, really long time. And he's amazing. We love him. He's done so much stuff from us from the very beginning, named Paul Lipinski. Mm-hmm. But you know, here we are 17 years later, And I have a drummer who's been with me like 5 years now. And he's like, dude, I'm actually really good at mixing. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, like, of course, everybody's going to say that, you know what I mean? But then he started mixing other bands, one of which that we brought out on tour called Rivals, who's a pretty awesome band from California. And I really liked his mix. And he's just been asking me for so long. He would not let it go. So I finally let him do a test drive on a song called Land Down Under, which is a cover song by Men at Work.
Right.
That was the first test to see. I told him, all right, I'm going to give you one, and let's see what you can do. And I really liked how that song came out. So if you hear that song, you'll notice right after we recorded that, we jumped into the Emergency EP production. So that's basically me as producer and our drummer mixing. That's what you're hearing. That's the different tweak that we made.
Oh, wow. Well, it turned out really well.
Very true. Thank you. And I think so too. And I just like it when people notice it, because this EP does sound different than sonically.
As a huge fan of all types of music, and as we talked about before we started recording, I've got a couple of radio stations, and I listen to now. Putting internet radio stations on 8 years ago exposed me to music from all over the world, because here in America, we're a little bit isolated. Unless it gets a major push from a label, we don't hear things from other countries. And I just like hearing bands, from anywhere. I mean, you guys started in Florida, but you're an American band and you're doing your own thing and you're making music that makes you happy and you're growing and you're evolving as a band. That's got to feel great.
It does. Thank you. And, like I said, we did kind of do one thing for a long time. And now we are having fun. I do think if you listen to this EP, you can tell we're having a good time and enjoying each other as musicians. And I think it shines through on the sound.
Well, the new song already has about 3 million views on YouTube. To say that you have a fan base is an understatement. But the fact that they seem to be accepting this is... I don't want to say heavier, but it's a more mature sound. It's an edgier sound. It's a little more complicated sound.
Yeah, it's definitely all of those things. I think it's edgier. I think it's more complicated. I think those are definitely accurate terms as far as like describing it. But also, if you really want to dive deep, it's a little bit more like our very, very, very first sound, which was very kind of like experimental and fearless. And after Don't You Fake It became such a huge record and meant so much to so many people, it became really tough to try to replicate that. And you can't replicate like a miracle, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we just did it right on, you know what I mean? So like, and everything and all the people that helped along the way that got that album to go where it went. So like, of course, everybody expects you to do that over and over and over again. But, if it was a miracle, then you can't do that. It wasn't some streamlined process that gave us that record. So we're finally back to the place now to when we're writing and we're recording, we can just be ourselves. And we've luckily that album is 15 years old next year, so it's finally considered a classic album, so people are accepting our new sound.
So this new song, you're giving away 50% of the proceeds?
Right, if they buy it on iTunes. We compartmentalized a few different campaigns. We've been raising funds for various different foundations. Since
I was looking throughout your career. You have helped with schools. You have helped with drives. You have helped, Yeah.
I mean, basically, we're the band that wouldn't say no before there were bands doing that, honestly. Right. There's a lot of bands who have been like political, like Rage Against the Machine, and they killed it, bringing the message to the people. And like, I respect all those guys. But I didn't see any bands in our scene. Remember, this is 2006.
Right.
Standing up for social causes that really mattered at the time. And obviously when you lead with a song like Face Down, that song's really important to me because, it's something I experienced as a young man growing up in my household. So I had to lead with that one just in case nobody ever heard another song. So from our very first single all the way till now, we've been partnered with various different charities and various different causes all the way up until today. If you buy the song on iTunes, 50% of it goes straight to the COVID relief fund. However, we haven't got our first check yet. It takes a long time for that to come in. But if anybody's watching this and they did buy it, thank you so much. The album actually did chart on iTunes, even though we did not boost the link. We boosted the, when you say boost, that just means promote.
Right.
So that's a
for those who haven't bought Facebook advertising.
Right. So that just means promote. You pay, you click the button, and now all of a sudden you're promoting.
Right.
But I get used to saying boost. So, we just really drew all of our traffic to the lyric video,
Mm-hmm.
but still the song charted on iTunes. So that showed me, and charted top 100 without the band even pushing it. So I
That's
know
awesome.
a good amount of money was raised, and I'm proud of our fans because it was something that we just gave them the option for. We're like, hey, if this is important to you, buy it on iTunes instead of, using Apple Music or Spotify. And a lot of people did, and that was pretty cool to see. It was a test.
I was discussing lately with a few friends that things are changing a little bit during this COVID, and some things are more interesting. Take, for example, home video, album sales, streaming is up. Maybe people will start buying music and not streaming it so much anymore. I mean,
I don't know, like we are pro stream. Back in 2014, we got made fun of by like some huge press outlets because I made a statement that said it's the Wild West right now.
Right.
Remember, this is 5 years ago. So the RIAA and all of the data holders hadn't really kicked in yet.
Mm-hmm.
And people were just stealing music like crazy. So what we were trying to say was, hey guys, the music is free. It's already free. Whether you realize it or not, if you're a band like ours, if you've seen the numbers of how many millions and millions of illegal downloads there were, of course, we didn't come after any of those people.
Right.
We thought it was cool that they wanted our music. And so what we did is for the next 6 years, we put our entire discography up on our .com for free. So if you were gonna steal it, we wanted you to steal the real masters, the
Right.
real mix.
That sounded good.
So, yeah, so we took a stance on that, but we always drew everyone to the free streaming sites, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. They all have a version. Most of them have a version that you can use for free, and we still get paid from that. So we've been pro stream from the beginning. As far as people buying music, I just don't think that's personally ever really going to happen again unless you try to do something like we did pair it with a charity or physical products. Still, people dig albums, you know what I mean? So
or special editions or whatever.
Yeah, people dig special editions and albums. I personally still buy them, so I have a lot of faith in that. There's ways to get physical products still.
I agree. And like I said, I think we're seeing a change. I know that when I order a movie for Best Buy, I'm not the only guy there in the curbside pickup line with a mask on, hoping to get a movie for the weekend. So
Right.
I would like to see Best Buy start carrying music again. They carry a little bit of vinyl, but when they stopped carrying CDs, that was almost like a sign. It was like, no, we need to go the other way.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to because
No.
then I saw a bunch of stuff where all the major car manufacturers are taking CD players out of the cars permanently.
Yeah.
So, sometimes there's a paradigm shift, and, we have shifted to, the MP3 or whatever you want to call it, the dot wave form of sound. But that's why I always tell people, hey, if that's your thing, just get into vinyl. You know what I mean? Because it stood the test of time. I believe it will forever. So you can stream it on your phone for free, but if you buy the vinyl from a band, you're always really supporting the band. Hopefully, anybody watching knows that, and we will have a vinyl press for the emergency EP soon.
So you've had some time. We discussed during this downtime, you've had time to work on the house and paint some things and clean some things up. What about plans for the band? I don't want you to give away any secrets or anything, but I'm sure there's been things percolating in the head there.
Yeah, well, we have two campaigns going right now. One is the iTunes COVID Relief Fund. That's one. They're both charity oriented. The other one is we're filming an official music video for Brace Yourself, and we're using all African-American actors, which we've never done before, which we thought would be kind of cool because when, all this came about and, everybody's doing a little bit of self-reflection. Well, could I have done this better, that better? And we have actually had African-Americans in some of our videos before. I'm not going to call them out specifically because to me, that just sounds like I'm trying to promote one of our songs. But if you look, you will see them in some of our videos. We've also had Native Americans in our videos. There's a couple of those in our band, and one of our guys is Jewish and one of our guys is from Puerto Rico. So we definitely think racial equality is important, and we always have. So we're making a video for the first time, and that's going to be really cool when that comes out. So that's the second part of the charity. So the cool thing about Brace Yourself is it's being used for good all around. If you download it on iTunes, half of it's going to COVID. If you watch the new official video when it comes out, we're linking all the royalties that come in for the views, which we've never done before, and I've never seen an artist do this before, permanently to one or two of the foundations that we choose, which we haven't chose yet,
right.
That are, with the BLM movement, but we want to make sure it's the right one because there's a lot of them out there. There's just so many who are saying, hey, donate to me, hey, donate to me. And we're honestly a little confused about it. So we're really taking it slow. Luckily, you know, we're still making it. So we're not ready to make that decision yet, but we're going to donate that money to a charity that we think best represents us, aligned with them as well. So it's kind of cool. It's like, this song is really just doing a lot of good so far. Brace yourself. And you know, that's always what we try to do. Some songs we put out have no charity aspect whatsoever and no direction when it comes to that. And that would, a good example of that would be our first single called A Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Called LA, which is literally just a love song that I wrote for my wife. You know, so some, we're not necessarily as pushy with every song, but
where it fits.
Right. We try to choose one or two on every release that we can link into charity. That way it's something that we've always attached to.
That's great. I think it's wonderful that you do that with your art, man. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully this is getting the word out. We'll post some links when I get this uploaded and all that. What do you like to do for fun when you're not, you know, doing these interviews and recording music and on the road? Yeah,
well, I'm a full-time dad, part-time rocker, even though it's not even really part-time rocker these days. It's more like, you know, I'm an online rocker, I guess.
Right.
You know, like you said, I've been doing a lot of live streams, having awesome success with that.
Right.
You know, we're getting like so many cool people all over the world who are watching them, and I've been keeping it pretty regular. I've only missed 1 or 2 weeks the entire time this has been going. So I've been streaming every week for the fans, trying to keep the morale up. And I talk a lot about just staying positive and staying safe, and, you know, not letting all the drama go to your head, no matter what side you're on. You know, I believe that level heads will prevail in the end, and they always do. Yeah. But to also be heard, you know, if you feel like there's something you need to say, go ahead and say it, but try your best to do it in a respectful manner. Because at the end of the day, you know, when you remove all of this skin and hair, we'll have the same skeletons underneath. You know, we really are the same, no matter what anybody tries to say. So just trying to be the one level head in the room as hard as I can. You know, it's tough right now.
Hey, it's tougher these days than normal, but I agree with you, man. Level heads, moderate, you know, being in the middle of the road is a good place to be.
Yeah.
But at least
especially when people are just hijacked emotionally, you know, because there's a lot of sensitive, serious stuff going around. But at the same time, I'm like, guys, there's still a virus out there. So please, you know, like, you know, somebody actually does care about your health. It's me. Be careful. You know what I mean?
Right. You don't want to spread anything. You don't want to get anybody else sick.
That's right.
Dude, I'm really impressed with the new song. We've been banging it since April. I think you're up to number 30 on our top 50. So we'll keep, you know, the requests keep coming in. We'll get it up there.
Thank you so much. And if there's any way our fans can help get it up, please give them instructions, because what's awesome about my fans is they listen and they participate, and all the way from the Philippines to Japan to Australia. And that's what's cool about being online, you know, because like, let's say this was a Texas radio station, and, you know, I'm really, and you're playing my song, and I'm appreciative, and I'm trying to get people to call in. The problem is anytime we would engage our fan base, we get people from California and Florida calling in, and the program directors are like, this doesn't really count.
We want locals, right?
You know, but like what's cool about online is like we're all local, we're all together. You know what I mean? Like everybody matters. So if that's not equality and inclusion, then I don't know what is. And that's just coming from a radio standpoint, you know?
Totally. Well, yes. And everybody can go to rockfileradio.com. You just click a button. You can make a request right there. Simple.
You heard it, rockfileradio.com. And make sure you request Brace Yourself.
Well, I'm saving that as an ID.
Please do.
Well, Ron, it's been a pleasure talking to you today, man. I hope things, you know, clear up enough that you can get back out on the road in the near future.
Me too. We do have some dates that are still tentative. I did notice that Coachella just officially pulled the plug, and, you know, it's not looking good. But at the same point in time, I do actually care about the fans who come to our shows. So we're going to listen to the local authorities. We're not going to be the first band to run out there and get a bunch of people sick. But the minute that we are allowed and that it's safe, there's a bunch of pending stuff, you know, on the down low, all of my touring buddies and agents. There's a lot of unannounced tours right now that for the back end of 2020 that at any moment could be boom. And everyone will be really excited, but we don't know, you know, this is an interesting time. We don't know what's going to happen. So like you said, we'll hope for the best. And if that's the case, you're going to see a bunch of bands like mine announce a bunch of shows, and it's going to be a killer end of 2020. I think it'll make up for the first half for sure, because everybody's fired up about shows again, which is just awesome. Because
I miss concerts.
Right? We've learned as a community how important they are. You know, we have, like, all you got to do is take something away from somebody, and all of a sudden they realize how much they need it. You know what I mean? So we're happy that people have still supported us. Thanks for, tuning into this interview or anything else. And, I hope you're right. I hope it does get better. But either way, one day it will. We all do believe that.
There's a great meme going around. Right. But there's a great meme going around that says, remember when this virus happened, you didn't look to the politicians for help. You watched movies, you listened to music, you watched art, you listened to art. Oh, it's the artist who kept you going through this. It wasn't anything else. And I'm like, yeah, art was really worth money during all of this, because listening to music has always got me through the hard times.
Man, that's so true. I haven't seen that meme yet, but feel free to shoot it to Ed, and I'd love to see it.
I'll send it to you.
I mean, that's what me and my family did. We just kicked back and we leaned on the art, and we have been watching more movies as a family instead of just watching our own shows on our phones.
Right.
And, I agree. The art has, man, think about how much more depressed people would be if they didn't have something like that.
They didn't have new music to listen to and new movies to watch. That would be a world I don't think I want to be in very long.
Disney Plus released the new Star Wars early, and I was just doing a backflip in my living room. Straight backflip.
Star Wars to watch! I'm ready for the next season of The Mandalorian.
Me too. I can't wait.
Ron, it was a total pleasure talking to you today, man. Good luck with the new EP. When we get back out on the road, I'll come meet you. We'll shake hands. We'll do a live interview face-to-face. It'll be a little easier that way.
Sounds great, man. Thanks for your time. And I really appreciate you supporting the song. And anybody else out there who cares, thank you guys. We love you guys.
Thank you. Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. Catch them on the road when you can. Go to iTunes and download the song right now. You'll be helping some people out. Thanks, Ron.
Bye-bye.